see, my friend Matt did the cool ones. With this cassette series we're talking about doing, and that we're doing, we're giving out our first one on August 17th. I think the idea was to make this quick and dirty recording, you know, that we could make cheaply or inexpensively, and sort of have something for people to come out to the show to take home with them that wasn't going to cost us really an arm and a leg, and it was going to be something sort of personal and unique, you know, as opposed to, I guess, a t-shirt. I'm trying to get that thing open. Basically, the idea of a cassette came back to maybe our first tour. We put together just pretty much as many cassettes as we could make, and it was our first EP that we just kind of put onto cassette on my, you know, my silly little cassette deck CD player, and I think the idea was just to have something that we could give away, you know, have something simple that if, you know, people didn't want to buy something, they could at least take something from us, and it was nice because I had a past roommate that had given me like literally two giant bags full of cassettes. I don't know where she got them, but she knew that I liked cassettes, and so we had all these cassettes, and it was fun because you know, we had our EP on one side, and then whatever the cassette happened to be was on the other side. So, you know, you'd get like a Brahms, you know, piece on one side with Geronimo on the other. So, Kelly and I went to college in DeKalb, Illinois, and there's this cool label called Scratch and Sniff Records, which I believe is still kicking, and they put out a ton of cassettes over the years, and people that I kind of grew to know in DeKalb were involved in that, and so that was a big influence. I remember seeing Calvin Johnson from K Records. He played in this attic in DeKalb, Illinois, when I went to school out there, and you know, if he's a really interesting guy. If you've never seen Calvin Johnson, like he's this fascinating, charismatic, but like profoundly sad person when he's performing. It's really interesting, but instead of CDs or anything else, he had a briefcase full of mixtapes that he had made, and that always struck me. I bought one, and then some other friends lent me copies of the ones that they got at that show, and it always struck me as this really, really awesome thing to give out, you know, or to sell, like while touring. It's just these mixtapes. Yeah, my friend. When we finished up the recording, I guess it was a couple weeks ago now. My girlfriend's brother, Chris, lent me a nice cassette deck, and I got to work, and you know, probably 10 tapes in, I grabbed one and threw it in the van to listen to it, and there was some issues with the quality. There was like all this extra noise, you know, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll try a different deck, and I went through about 3 cassette decks that are all, you know, these old used decks that either I've gotten from other people, or I even purchased like the cheapest cassette deck I could buy that was new. And all of them had their little problems, like, you know, the signal was too weak or this and that. So there's a company out in Rolling Meadows that's going to make them for about $1 a piece, which is fine, you know, that's not that much. And so yeah, ideally, and maybe hopefully with the next batch we'll be making them ourselves, but we're a little bit crunched on time on this one. We got all the packaging here, and I think the idea is just to either take a photograph of us or something that we can all agree on. Just kind of have like a nice DIY aesthetic to the packaging, and maybe number them, you know, something more personalized. We talked about the idea of having each one with a different cover. Our drummer is a photographer in the city, and so he's got, you know, tens of thousands of photographs on his computer. So we talked about that idea, which I think would be really cool. I don't know if we're going to do that with this one or maybe the next one. I guess only twice, and it's been at the same venue. Yeah, it would be fun to make sort of like a big compilation of maybe the better tracks or something that I don't know, we can make something fun out of it in the end. But I think just in the short term, just the idea of like, you know, maybe a free cassette every 3 or 6 months. Something to keep us, like, you know, stimulated with recording and making stuff, and also sort of a nice thing to give away to fans and give out on the road. Like we're leaving for tour in October, so that's also a nice thing. You know, a lot of times shows on the road, people aren't going to buy stuff, especially at bars or, you know, college shows. Kids are more worried about buying beer and things like that. So it's fun to be able to give away something like that you feel proud of, you know. Fading in and out, you know, and I was like, well, I hope that they pursue things like vinyl and cassettes more, and I feel like as long as they're kind of keeping their finger on the pulse, more or less, that they'll survive and hopefully go on to do exciting, creative, and unique things. You know, that would be the ideal. Hopefully they don't, you know, get bogged down and flounder like some of the industry has. Hard to say, I guess.